Welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever stopped to think about how an entire country, manages its money? It's a massive undertaking. So today, we're going to do a kind of financial health check on Malaysia. We're going to unpack its national balance sheet and really see where does the money come from and where does it all go?
Look, we all know how tricky it can be to just balance our own budgets, right? You've got your salary coming in, maybe a side hustle, and then bam, all the expenses. Rent, food, bills, it adds up. Just trying to keep track of where everything is going can be a huge headache.
Okay, now I want you to just scale that up in your mind. Way up. Imagine you're not just tracking your own bank account, but the finances of millions of people, thousands of companies, and these enormous infrastructure projects. So how on earth does a country like Malaysia even start to keep tabs on all that money flowing in and out?
All right, let's get into it. The answer really is in a set of official reports. You can think of them as a massive financial health check for the entire government. These documents are specifically designed to give all of us a clear and hopefully complete picture of where the nation stands financially.
So, to get that super clear view, the government uses a pretty modern system called accrual accounting. Now, this is different from how you might track your own cash. A lot of us just think about money when it actually leaves our wallet or hits our bank account. But this system is different. It records transactions the moment they happen, not just when the cash changes hands.
And you can really see the difference here. Cash accounting, well, it's simple. It just tells you what cash you have right now. But accrual accounting, that gives you the whole story. It records money that's owed to the government and also the money the government owes to others, even if no cash is actually moved. This is what gives you a real long-term view of the country's financial health.
Okay, so this whole accrual accounting system, it produces 5 key documents. And when you put them all together, they tell the complete financial story of the nation for that year. Each report is like a different, really important piece of the puzzle.
So here they are, the 5 big reports that lay it all out. You've got the Statement of Financial Position and the Statement of Financial Performance. We're definitely going to get into those. Then there's the cash flow statement, which, tracks the actual cash moving around. The Statement of Memorandum Account is for other important stuff that doesn't fit on the main balance sheet. And last but not least, the notes, which are super important because they give all the context and extra details for the numbers.
Let's start with that first one, the Statement of Financial Position. Think of this as a snapshot in time, a picture of the nation's net worth on one single day. It lists out everything the government owns, those are its assets, and everything it owes, those are its liabilities. It's really the big picture balance sheet.
All right, the next one is the Statement of Financial Performance. And if the first one was a snapshot, this one is more like a movie. It's not just one moment in time, it covers a whole period, typically a year. It tracks all the revenue coming in versus all the expenses going out. And at the end, you get the bottom line. Did the government run a surplus or a deficit?
You know what? Let's dig a little deeper into that performance report. And let's start with the most fundamental question of all. Where does all this money actually come from?
And one look at this makes it pretty obvious, doesn't it? The biggest slice of the pie, by far, comes from tax revenue. Sure, there's non-tax revenue and money from the federal territories, but taxes. Taxes are clearly the main engine here.
So what are we talking about when we say tax revenue? Well, it's basically broken into a couple of categories. You've got direct taxes, that's stuff like the income tax that comes out of your paycheck and what companies pay. Then you have indirect taxes, like sales tax or import duties. And don't forget that other slice, the non-tax revenue. That's everything else, from fees for licenses and permits to fines and penalties.
Okay, so that's the money in part of the story. We know where it comes from. Now let's flip the coin and look at the other side. Where does all that money go?
Right, so government spending is basically split into 2 big buckets. You have operating expenditure and development expenditure. A simple way to think about it is this. One is for keeping the lights on day to day, and the other is for building the future.
Let's break that down a bit more. Operating costs. That's all the day-to-day stuff needed to keep the country running. We're talking about salaries for civil servants, subsidies to help people out, and making payments on the national debt. Development spending, on the other hand, is all about the long game. This is the cash that funds those huge infrastructure projects we see in things like the 5-year Malaysia Plan. It's literally building the foundation for tomorrow.
So, you step back and you see all this incredibly detailed data spread out across 5 different reports, and you might be thinking, wow, that's a lot of work. But why? Why go to all this trouble? Who is all of this information really for?
And that's a totally fair question. I mean, these documents can be pretty dense, right? They're full of financial jargon, so who's actually supposed to be reading them? Well, you might actually be surprised to find out who's using these statements and why they are so important.
The thing is, the audience for these reports is incredibly broad. It's everyone from ordinary citizens, taxpayers and voters like you and me, all the way up to the legislators who are writing the laws, the government managers running huge programs, and even big international investors trying to figure out if the country is economically stable.
And for taxpayers, this is absolutely crucial. These reports are how you get transparency. It's how you see exactly where your hard-earned money is going. It's all about making sure those funds are being used properly, to actually serve the public's interest.
For voters, it goes even deeper. This information is basically the bedrock of democratic accountability. Think about it. How can you make a truly informed choice when you go to vote if you have no idea how the people in charge are handling the country's money? These reports are vital for us to judge their performance and their integrity.
So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that these financial statements are the #1 tool we have for public accountability, period. They're what makes sure that how the government handles our money is open for every single one of us to see and to question.
Because in the end, these reports are so much more than just a bunch of numbers on a page. They transform all that abstract data into a clear story, a story about our nation's financial decisions and its real priorities. They're like a window into the financial soul of the country, and they give every citizen the power to understand, to ask questions, and to hold leaders accountable. So the only real question left is, what will you be looking for?